Chris, let me ask you this. What do you think? Urban Meyer keeps being floated around out there. I have my own comments that I kind of think about that. I don't.
I mean, I don't want to. This probably isn't. What I really want to say. If that guy, to me though, and I mean, I've been around college football for quite a while, in the NFL. Can the guy recruit? Absolutely. But every program he's been at, he's left them with sanctions and stuff like that. I don't even have to dig into the whole Jacksonville Jaguars thing last year. I'll keep it pretty short with him, but Nebraska can recruit now. They're usually top 25 most years in recruiting. We have players. We got guys in the NFL that can play. I mean, I don't think Scott's a terrible recruiter. It's not because we don't have talent. You touched on it perfectly just a minute ago. It's coaching. Are we coaching these guys up the right way? That's my opinion. I'm not saying that everybody should agree with me on that, but I think it's pretty evident. We got kids that can play football. I mean, you mentioned the Georgia Southern tonight. I mean, you called me the other night and told me, hey, these guys can play down here. Oh man, boy, you're right. I mean, there's some guys out there. Those kids are some athletes. I mean, they're a good football team. They really are, and they play hard. And we got to, like I said, touching back on the Urban Meyer thing. Yeah, I'm not a good comment right there. There's too much baggage with that guy. I don't need him. I'll keep it short with him. I could say a lot, but I probably shouldn't say it on air about him. So we'll keep it there.
I got an interesting name, and this is again, it feels weird talking about this in season, but it is a 1-2 school through majority of the cupcake games that we should have been playing through the season before we get into it. I kind of feel like we almost might as well do it, right? I think a very interesting name that could come out of this would be, Pat Fitzgerald over at Northwestern. I mean, think about go ahead.
No, not to interrupt you, Christian. Do you think he would ever leave Northwestern, man? He played there. He turned that program around. I don't know if you remember, I'm a little bit older than you, but I mean, they were god awful for years. And he pretty much turned that whole program around to where they're competitive against anybody. Would he leave there? I mean, do you think he would leave there? I know money, speaks volumes. I know we can pay a lot, but man, just what he's done with that program. He's always a guy I've always thought about too. I love the guy. I think you watched that Nebraska Northwestern game. He motivated the hell out of those guys to fight back in the second half, and they pounded it, down our throats. And you saw how excited they were after that game. I don't know if you remember that when they won that game. They were, it's just I love that guy. I would like to have him. I just don't know. I've never heard him ever wanting to leave there.
Yeah, I think the only reason why I say that is I heard a little bit about this, and this is again me just kind of connecting some dots, probably way outside of here. I heard a story about, while they were in Dublin, they lost, Northwestern kind of all them exited the field. Some of the Nebraska players like Garrett Nelson and some of those guys were kind of out there. And, Pat Fitzgerald came over and he, dapped him up and hugged him and said, hey man, you guys fought really hard. And that's really when I started thinking about it. That's when I really started thinking about, oh man, hey, maybe this could make sense. He's in a situation where, there's really not any expectations for him right now at Northwestern. And I think he's probably realized hey, the best case scenario is we're probably going to compete for the Big Ten championship. We're not going to win it, but we're also one of the worst recruiting classes, out of the Big Ten. So, you take that. And again, Scott Frost, last year he had the 32nd recruiting class, but over his it's getting worse and worse, but that's just because of the record. That's really what it comes down to is his record and, his ability to manage his talent. But Scott Frost has averaged the 24th best recruiting class since he's been at Nebraska. You give a guy like Pat Fitzgerald, that sort of talent. And I would certainly like to think that, I'd like to think that we would be, really competing for the Western Conference in the Big Ten here.
Yeah, I know you touched on it. I don't have a ton to add about him, man. If you could get him, he would be a guy that I would definitely consider. Like I said, he's a player's coach. Those guys play hard for him. Like I said, Northwestern's never the shit. They're not even close to being one of the top teams in recruiting every year. Not even close, but they got guys that play hard, and that's, I've lived in Nebraska my whole life. That's what you want to see, and guys that come out there and compete. And let's be honest, man, defense is a lot of how much effort you give out there, and playing hard and doing the right thing. And Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that I would definitely consider if it does come to that. But yeah, as far as that goes, I would agree with you 100% there, Christian.
Graham Crackers said this is a disgrace. The corn is wilting. Yes, it is, and it's not even winter yet, right?